Hello, happy Friday. Guys, we are so close to the end of the year. You're doing so awesome. Please keep up the good work. And I get to see you guys next week. You get to see us and your other wonderful teachers, and I'm so excited. I'm going to, again, read 2 chapters. The first chapter is so very short, so we're going to read both again so we can kind of get through this before the end of the year. All right, chapter 33. This is called Possibilities. Working with Mr. Daniels gets easier because I am happy, but the work is really hard for me. He has written cat on the board, and we talk about the sounds. I can only hear one sound, cat. But he says that the word cat has 3 separate sounds. It feels like he's telling me the sky is yellow, and I say each of the sounds, and he has to tap them out on my fingers. It does seem to help. It forces me to think of them separately, even though it's all one word. But it's a tiny word, and I worry what I'll be able to do with whole books. Will I ever be able to do this? When we are all done for the day, he leans back in his chair like Travis would. So, you're doing great, Allie. You really are. How are you feeling about this? I'm actually happy to do this extra work, and I never thought I'd actually say something like that. He smiles. Good. I'm glad. But, yeah, I guess I still wonder if I'll ever feel like I'm able to read the same as the other kids and be normal and not have to do all this extra help. It just seems impossible. He becomes serious, and then he takes out a piece of plain paper and pulls the cap off with the marker with his teeth, and he begins to write. Impossible. Do you know what this says? Remember to break it into chunks. This is a really long one though, isn't it? I nod, trying to sound it out. Important? Nope, that's a good try. It says impossible. Like you just said, you told me you think it's impossible to read everything else. Yeah, I say, wondering why he had to write it down for me. It's not like I need a reminder. And then he draws a red line between the M and the P and hands it back to me. I want you to rip the paper into 2 pieces right where that line is. I do. So, now Allie, that is a big piece of paper in your hand that says possible. There is no impossible anymore, okay? I swallow and look down at it and feel a little dizzy. The way he does it makes me feel like I could actually be true. Now, throw that little piece of paper with the I am on it in the trash. It's gone forever. I walk over to the trash can and drop it in. Watch it twist and spin as it falls. I look up and lock eyes with him and wish I had the words to tell him how grateful I am for helping me. In this world of words, sometimes I just can't say everything. All right then. He nods. You head home. I have some homework to do, or I'll lose my recess. Okay, I laugh. But I'm still thinking of the word on the paper. Thanks, I say, looking down at it. My pleasure, he replies, and he takes his folder out of his briefcase. I stare at the word, Possible, all the way down the hall. I study the red color. I draw my fingers over the letters. I even smell the paper so I can take it in somehow. I really want to believe it. And there's my dog. Okay, chapter 34. Birth of a Star. Keisha, Albert, and I walk into Albert's after school. Keisha and I ask if we could come over and see his house, and he shrugs. Okay. The whole time my hand is in my pocket, holding that piece of paper. Possible. Albert's house is big but dark and dusty, and when we enter, there are piles of things everywhere. Not papers like our house. I mean piles of everything with tubes and wires, things I don't recognize. His mom greets us. Hey, Albert, you have guests? Her tone tells me that this never happens. Yes, I do. These are my friends, Keisha Allman and Allie Nickerson. Allie and Keisha, this is my mother, Audrey Dubus, he says, waving us at each other. And she comes over and shakes our hands. Can I get you guys anything to eat? She asks, sounding nervous. Albert pauses. No, thank you. We'll just go upstairs. His mom says okay, and we are already following up these skinny, twisty staircases. What kind of host doesn't allow his guests to have food. Dang it, Albert, I would have minded some. It wouldn't be logical to offer you something that doesn't exist, but she offered it to us, Keisha says. He opens his backpack and begins stacking his books on his desk like a pyramid. I can assure you that refrigerator is quite empty. In fact, it hasn't been plugged in for a week. Oh, Keisha says, her voice getting really quiet. I'm sorry, Albert. I really am. Now I know why his mom sounded so funny when she offered, and why he eats so much at school. Yeah, me too, I add. He turns around, surprised. Why? Keisha scrunches up her face, the look she gets when she really can't figure him out. Well, I say because you don't have food or a refrigerator, and it must be terrible to be hungry and not be able to eat. And it's possibly embarrassing for you. I mean, I think it would be, I guess. He tilts his head. Filling the refrigerator does not fall within the perimeters of my responsibility. Therefore, the lack of food therein would have no reflection upon me whatsoever. We are silenced. I don't know about Keisha, but I couldn't answer that for $1 million. From the looks of her, I don't think she can either. I finally lift my gaze from his face and look around his room. Just a bed, a desk, and an empty trash can. The carpet and his blankets are all dark green, but the walls have a colorful poster, all science-related. There is one I like the most, the picture of outer space, but with every color you can think of, all swirled together with an orange glow off to the side. It's beautiful, I point at it. Albert, what is that? That is the birth of a star, the single most important thing that can happen in space. Well, the single most positive thing, anyway. It's beautiful, I say. He stares at it. Indeed it is, he says, sitting down at his desk. Keisha laughs. You're going to be a star one day, Albert. You'll do something amazing. He shifts in his seat. I don't wish to be in the limelight. Limelight, I ask. I don't like a lot of attention. Well, you better get used to it, Albert, Keisha says, because there's no way on God's green earth that you will not have a boatload of it when you go out there and cure cancer or discover another planet or something. That's my hope. I want to change the world, do something good. And then all of a sudden I feel sad as Keisha goes on about how famous Albert would be, how he'll be written in history books and stuff. Hey, Keisha says, poking me, why so serious over there? I'm thinking about all the things Albert and Keisha will do and how I can't even read. I can't tell them that, though, so I try to sound happier. I'm not that serious. Oh, yes. Yes, you are. Dead serious. You need to smile. I am smiling, I say. Well, someone better tell your face that. I hesitate. Can I tell you both a secret? I ask, reaching into my pocket and touch my possible paper that I've been carrying since I got it. Yes, of course. And you won't tell anyone? Yes. Now, what is the secret? And we won't tell anyone because that is the definition of a secret. Albert is quiet, but he tilts his head to the side. I've never really told anyone this, but I have a lot of trouble in school with reading and writing and, well, everything but math and art. Keisha laughs. That is not a secret. And then I feel terrible. And I feel my eyes beginning to sting, and I start walking away, but she pulls my sleeve and pulls me back. Albert looks upset. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, we know that, but it doesn't matter to us. However, Albert says, I do wish it was easier for you. We will not share your secret. Mr. Daniels says I have something called dyslexia, which makes it hard to read letters. And that's why I've been staying after school, so he can help me. Keisha is wide-eyed. Extra school after school? That's terrible. I mean terrible. I want to tell her I'd spend the night at school rather than doing anything else if it would make me read. I don't mind. He's nice to me. And we'll help you, Albert says. But I worry that maybe he can't help me, I say, and then I mumble. It makes me feel like I'll grow up to be a nobody. How can you say that, Keisha says. Well, you'll probably have some big successful banking company and Albert will do whatever in the world Albert will do, and I'm just hoping to read a menu one day. Keisha steps in and puts her arm around my shoulder. You say he's going to help you, right? You say, Albert adds and then pauses to think, that you'll grow up to be nobody, but logically, if nobody's perfect, well, then you must be perfect. Perfect? Me? Huh? No, I say. You are pretty perfect, Allie, Keisha says. Do you like Mr. do like Mr. Daniel says. Be yourself. Be who you are. You know, Albert says, I wondered about that saying, and I can't ever find the answer anywhere on the internet. What do you mean, I ask? Be yourself. You always can hear that. So, Keisha asks, well, Albert begins, what if you don't know who you are? I get what he means, I think. People ask what you want to be when you grow up. I know what kind of grown up I want to be, but I don't know who I am now. Albert stretches his legs out. There are always people ready to tell you who you are, like a nerd or a jerk or a wimp. I think about how it's hard to not believe in the bad stuff. Look at it this way, Albert says. If you had to be in a tank of water with a killer whale or a stonefish, which would you choose? Well, duh, who's going to choose the killer whale? Well, in the wild, killer whales never attack people, like ever. A stonefish is way more dangerous with its third venomous spines. It's the words. If a killer whale were called the friendly whale, no one would be scared. And I think of words, the power they have, how they can be waved around like a wand, sometimes for good, like how Mr. Daniels used them, and sometimes for bad, like how Shay makes us feel. My grandpa used to say to be careful with eggs and words because neither can be fixed. The older I get, the more I realize how smart my grandpa was. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Monday. Bye, guys.